Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we're talking about Frankenstein again, and I am once again joined by Allison and Becca.
Hi.
Hello.
We're only on chapter 3, which
In
I don't know
our
why.
version, it's chapter 3.
Yeah, mine is chapter 4, and I get really nervous when we talk in chapters now because I have
I know.
absolutely. We got to talk in like what's happening in the story because I think my
Yeah.
chapters are completely different.
I know. I'm glad we're being very careful about being chronological because I think otherwise we
Yeah.
would just fall apart quickly.
Absolutely.
Quickly.
Okay. Things are getting juicy. Things are getting crazy. And I am ready to chit-chat. Are you all ready to chit-chat?
We're ready.
Absolutely.
Okay. So at the end of 2 years, he made a whole bunch of discoveries to improve chemical instruments, which I was like, what the fuck does that mean? But I'm not a scientist, so moving on.
Yeah, they
like,
don't ever explain that ever again. It's not
okay. All right, cool. Because I'm like, chemical instruments, like, is it the instrument? Is it chemical? I don't know. It doesn't matter, but I just was like, I don't like the way you said that. Because, like, is it a, what is that called? Not a barometer. Is it a barometer?
What do you
Doesn't a barometer test air pressure?
Yeah, that's for air pressure. What you getting at?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like Mary Shelley read about a science lab or like was told from a friend of a friend, and she was like, I'm going to make this character be a mad scientist, not knowing anything about science or lab or tools or anything like that.
Honestly, iconic. Every single time that someone roasts me or like roasts authors in general for like writing things they know and then get mad when they're like, you don't know anything about that subject. Yeah. He told me I couldn't make another character a writer. Like, what's the fucking problem, you know?
Yeah. The best part about being a writer is getting to be every other profession because you don't have to actually go to school. You can just write a character who went to school for it.
I do love to giggle, though, like when a book is talking, like if some character in a book is talking about some concept that the author had to do some research on, and then it's like they spent so much time on Google Scholar trying to figure that out, and it shows. You know?
Or it's like you realize that you know more about the topic than the author does, and you're like, oh, this is not like they don't actually know what they're talking about because I do, and this is incorrect. Not even that it's incorrect; it's just not like fully formed ideas. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
My other favorite thing is like coming from a marketing background. Whenever someone like makes their character marketing and they like use their experience of like having to do their own social medias to develop that character, being like, this is what they have to do, and I'm like, sure, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, you know. I just like take it out, and I'm like, it's the smallest agency, it's fine, you know what?
Yeah. In any way to make it realistic. I like that Mary Shelley was just like, he was an evil scientist, and now he's refusing to say what he actually did because he doesn't want it to be repeated. And I'm like, that's a good cop out. That's a good like plot hole filler right there.
It is kind of incredible that we never know.
No, they never says what he does to like bring anything to life.
I know that we talk about.
That's so funny.
Well, we'll get there. I guess we're a little ahead of ourselves. We'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there. So he decided, you know what, that's it for me. I've learned all there is to learn in 2 years. Apparently, there's nothing else to teach him. And he's like, I guess I'll head home. So the only thing he did have interest in still is the structure of the human frame, which made me laugh, just that phrasing, personally.
Okay, but wait, can we talk about the fact that I didn't realize until today that he just left school because he was like, I'm good.
Yeah, he just thought he knew enough and he dropped out. He was like, yep, learned all I needed to. I'm out.
I didn't know that. Becca and I were going over it, and I was like, wait, doesn't he have to go back to school? And she was like, no, he's out of there.
He dropped out. What? The original college dropout. Like Steve Jobs wished he could have been Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, except instead of making computers in his garage, he was like digging up bodies, you know.
But also, he shouldn't go by Dr. Frankenstein if he didn't finish school. He's not a doctor.
That arrogant.
Even if, like, even a real mad scientist would have to have a doctorate. Like,
he's an honorary doctorate.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah, wait, I didn't even realize that. Is he referred to as Dr. Frankenstein in this, or do we just call him that?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know yet.
That'd be so funny if he's given himself the title doctor.
Yeah, we'll find out if he's really a fraud.
Yeah, that's funny. I love the idea of him just bestowing that upon himself.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I didn't even realize that he had left school. I never put those pieces together. I had read it as like, oh, he really feels like he's got the hang of it now. Like,
I just remembered what I was going to say. He gives me energy of like crypto bro that drops out.
Yes.
That's the energy I'm getting here.
Yes.
100%. Of like, oh, I know everything. I know more than all of these professors. I don't need to waste my time here anymore. I have a business endeavor. Sharks, do you want to invest? Like, that's where I feel like he's at.
Hey, Sharks.
Is that or the girl in the MLM that's like, oh,
yes.
I'm a self-employed, self-starter business owner. Do you want to join my group?
Spot on. But he kind of does the opposite, where he just like really withdraws and isolates himself and like goes full mad scientist.
Which, icon, honestly.
Love it.
So he decides to figure out if life continues after death. Possibly because his mother's dead. I don't know. Could be the reason.
It is weird that he never talks about his motivations. He just talks about wanting to learn more, wanting to find out, but not why that was his question that he was trying to answer.
Yeah.
Like how to bring something to life. Like, why does he want to? Like, it would make sense if there was an individual that he was wanting to bring back to life. Mm-hmm. But him just seeing if he can do it just for fun, that's crazy.
Yeah, honestly, as a member of doing things for the shits and giggles, same.
But he loses his shits and giggles pretty early on. Like, he does not do well. But he's digging up bodies, too. Like, he talks about going to the grave, going to the churchyard, and he calls the churchyard merely a receptacle of bodies deprived of life.
Yeah.
Oh, which and then he's become like, food for the worm. Crazy. He
also says he wants to watch the body decay and watch the body's corruption. And I'm like, all right, chill the fuck out. You know,
let's
like
unpack
what?
That. Let's unpack that.
Yeah. Pause moment. What?
Yeah.
Like
Wait, the start of that sentence is equally as fucked up. Because mine says, I became acquainted with the science of anatomy, but this was not sufficient. I must also observe the natural decay and corruption of the human body. I'm like, you became acquainted with anatomy? Like, what does that mean? What does it mean? Is he chopping people up?
Oh, that's the way you took that.
That's how I took it.
Okay.
How did you take it? Wait a minute.
Just whenever someone's is that? No. Whenever someone, because they're like acquainted with anatomy, I'm like,
hey, Henri has not returned yet.
Yeah, Henri. Hold on.
I always think it's like a sex joke, and then
I love that this is what you guys got out of the whole digging up bodies part, everything, and all I could think of in this part is the song in Holes, the like. He's just digging them up.
Dig it up. Is that the one?
Yeah.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Well,
that's too damn bad. He's out Camp Green Lake.
But the way he like glosses over the fact that he's just out there grave robbing, digging up people's bones, like that's crazy. And mine says he like goes to a what I think is a crematorium. He says he goes to a crematorium and collects the bones.
This entire novel could be called Glossing Over.
Yeah.
Literally everything he just glosses over.
Like, it's just kind of bizarre. For 2 years, right? How long is he taking to, like, learn this with the dead
It's like a solid year. Or no. So at the end of it. No, it'd probably be about a solid year. Because you gotta guess, there's probably a first year where he's learning everything. And then it's like a year or two of him collecting bones and such. Here's the thing.
My boy, the archaeologist.
I'm imagining he's gotta live in a dorm, right?
He lives in an attic. He lives in the top of a house.
Yeah. So he's got other people that live in this house. How do they not smell
the
the
stench.
decaying body? Like, I don't really understand here.
Dude, this is 1818, you know?
I mean,
everybody
right.
smells.
Is it 1818? I thought it was earlier.
Well,
it's 17 dash.
Oh, right.
That's right. That's right.
The book's
17
written
song.
in 1818. I apologize.
Again, Mary Shelley didn't want to commit to a date. That bitch.
I like that she committed to years in the past, though. That makes me laugh more.
Yeah. Yeah, she went old school. Where are we? Okay, wait. So he's digging up dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just says, like, a sudden light broke upon me. And he just, like, had this epiphany. And he figured out how to do it. And then
after he says that, though, he breaks the fourth wall and he's like, I can tell, Robert, that you want the secret. I will not tell you.
I love that. I love that. And he goes, when he breaks the fourth wall in my version, he goes, remember, I'm not recording the visions of a madman. And I'm like, yes, you are. Absolutely, you are.
What do you think this novel is about?
Yeah.
Literally.
He's the narrator. Like, you're telling the story. We know you're mad.
I love the idea of that being in, like, modern vernacular, though, of him being like, I'm not gonna tell you.
Yeah.
I signed an NDA.
Yeah, I'm not spilling the tea on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. He breaks the fourth wall quite a bit in this part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing is, like, so he brings something small back to life. Like, I think it was like a rodent or something. Immediately he's like, all right, so I know it works. Time to bring a man. And I'm like, oh, okay, buddy.
Yeah, I had that highlighted too, where he's like, why would I waste my time on something so small? Like, I had one success, we're going for it.
Consequences be damned. Like, also, so he decides that, I'm sorry.
Further evidence that this book is queer-coded, because I feel like if he was straight, he would have made a woman.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. That's a thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thought.
I just thought of that now, honestly.
Well, I was going to bring that up, too, because he also says, like, he's creating the most perfect being. So handsome. Like, hot as shit. Like, yeah. So his perfect being probably looks like Henry. Let's be honest. Let's be so honest.
Henri.
Very tall Henry.
Oui.
Henri. I do love Henri. I have a crush on Henri.
There.
He sounds like a hell of a man, dude.
Yeah, honestly.
Sympathetic. Cares about your feelings.
Nurses you back to health. We're not there yet.
Yeah, what more could you want?
Oh, I did note one thing. When what is he doing here? He's on his kind of monologue about bringing a human to life, creating a whole new species, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. He's just obsessing. Hold on, I highlighted a lot. Let me try and paraphrase. Oh, this is when he tells you, you should always have a calm and peaceful mind and never allow passion or desire to disturb your tranquility. He's, like, again, breaking the fourth wall and telling William, is his name William? Who's the boat guy?
Robert.
He's telling Robert, like, don't get obsessed. Like, no matter what you do, just try and be chill. Like, don't go crazy. And don't do anything that will take you away from, like, your friends and your family and your mental health. But then Mary Shelley writes a line a tiny ways after that. And it goes, if this rule were always observed, Greece had not been enslaved, Caesar would have spared his country, America would have been discovered more gradually, and the empires of Mexico and Peru would have not been destroyed. And I thought, oh, Mary Shelley's putting a little politics in this book. I feel like that's almost modern day politics for, 1818? Like, not only is she a woman author, but she's kind of putting her spin on things.
How old is she at this point?
She published this at 18.
Oh, she's 18?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's 18,
she's really young.
Then she's born 1800, so...
I think she's 18. We may have to fact check that. I could be wrong. But I really thought she was super young when she published this. I could be totally off.
I just feel like Mary Shelley was an icon.
I am excited for us to finish this book and then talk about Mary Shelley and her life and how it compares to this book, because it's kind of crazy.
19.
I'm going to stop talking there because I don't want to spoil anything.
There, I'm going to have to do some research for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do it after you finish reading the book. Though. Okay. But that could be like a bonus episode because I do have a lot I want to talk about her.
She was 19.
She was 19 when she published.
So
See, that's crazy.
You were almost right on the money.
That's shocking. I was either going to be absolutely on it or completely wrong. But yeah,
1799.
1799. Good year.
Good year. What do we have? Bubonic plague, you know?
Black Death.
Bubonic plague?
I don't know when that shit happened.
I don't either. But that was what, 1500s? I don't know.
I really don't think it was the 1700s.
I don't know.
Wait, do you think it was then?
I thought it was
they shit in the street.
Yes, wait, hold on. When was the
Wasn't the bubonic plague the rat
1346, dude.
What's the rat one?
The bubonic plague.
You're right.
Which one's the one? Because, like, everybody moved into the cities and then, like, during the Industrial Revolution. What plague was that?
That was the Spanish flu.
Yeah, Spanish flu was 1918.
And typhoid.
Twilight? Did you read Twilight?
True.
Excuse me, have you read Twilight?
I think I was thinking typhoid.
Whoa!
Typhoid, yeah, typhoid happened during the Industrial Revolution.
I didn't realize that would make my stutter come out, so that's fun.
Were you thinking of tuberculosis?
Oh, tuberculosis! Ooh. I don't...
The level of intrigue when I dropped tuberculosis into the chat. My God.
Maybe the spiral to digging up bones is like very clear.
It's all the lead poisoning, you know.
Yeah, clearly.
The other thing I want to mention is that he specifically needed this superhuman race, aka his very hot boyfriend, to be 8 feet tall. Just something about that is like, I just like that it's not achievable normally.
Have we compared the physical description of his monster to Henri?
No, but can we find the physical description of the monster really quick and someone read it? Because I
know it's black hair.
Yeah, like curly black hair. And I'm like, hot. I get it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like built to shit, you know? Like it's... Let's see. Godlike. It's gotta be end of chapter 3. It's getting very dark in here.
Wait, I found the really creepy thing he said about discovering people's bodies.
Okay.
He goes, I collected bones from charnel houses, which I assume is a crematorium. I could be wrong. And disturbed with profane fingers the tremendous secrets of the human frame in a solitary chamber, or rather a cell. I don't need to hear about what your fingers were doing to the secrets of a human frame. Maybe that is a sexual thing.
So I'm saying.
There's human trafficking, there's incest, there's dead people stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely sounds a lot worse.
Yeah. Okay, wait, where is
I feel like any excerpt from this book that you pull out
wild.
Sounds a lot worse than what I remember as the book, with the book as a whole.
His limbs were in proportion to his 8-foot frame. Beautiful, a great god. His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. So yeah, jacked. His hair was of lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of pearly whiteness. But these luxuriances only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes that seemed almost the same color as the dun white sockets in which they were set, his shriveled complexion and straight black lips. So not that hot.
The shriveled complexion is really
good. He changed tune real quick.
Goth
hot. Hot until he went down to the details, and then he was like, wait.
Hot from a distance, all right?
But wouldn't he know he was going to be ugly before he put life into him? Like, if he explained the process, maybe we would understand. Maybe there's something that happens when the life goes into the body that changes how it looks. But I'm like, you made him. You stitched him together.
Literally.
You knew what he was going to look like. How did he turn ugly all of a sudden?
Well,
I think the yellow skin.
I think that we can draw assumptions like all the adaptations have, that lightning is involved in some point, because that's what sparks his interest in this whole thing in the first place.
That was great.
But I think there's an assumption that that's involved. I know that's like how the adaptations always take it, but I feel like
he does say it's raining. He does, in my version, he says it's raining.
Mine too.
And it's midnight, and it's dark, and the candle's almost burnt out.
Yeah.
And his yellow
Also,
eyes open. Ooh.
when he's doing this, he's like his body's fully breaking down. He's like not eating. He's developing a fever. Like he's like violently ill. So like imagine like your fever, you know how like you can fever hallucinate?
Yeah.
Just imagine your fever hallucination creates life, you know?
He is the most dramatic dude.
Truly.
Yeah. Like there's absolutely no chill whatsoever. He does everything full force.
He's like the equivalent of like a historic film where a woman is like, oh, every time there's like bad news or something.
But he's the one making the bad news. Like, I'm sorry, at
all
any point when he was out there digging up bodies with a shovel, not once did he think, maybe I'm taking this too far? Like, how is he just now that it's done, now that he's finished, he's just now catching on to the fact that something ain't right? Like, it's mind-boggling. Like, he's fully crazy.
My mom used to have this saying, and I think it's just because she didn't want her kids to lie to her face or something. But she used to say that, like, if you're afraid to tell your parents, then you're, like, actually ashamed of it. And I'm just thinking about that, like, the fact that he was afraid to tell anyone about this the whole time. I really just think my mom didn't want us to lie to her face. I think really that's, But it's a good saying. That has stuck with me, so it worked, all right?
I think there's some truth in that, though. Like, if you feel like you can't tell anybody something, then it might be a little dicey.
Okay, so now we're on to chapter 4. Or chapter 5. Or maybe still chapter 4. I don't know.
Let me look.
We're on chapter some.
I'm now in chapter 5.
We are now on the next chapter.
Yeah, next chapter. So he decides a night in November is when he committed to this, and it made me remember that like Halloween is not a big deal in Europe, and also I don't think Halloween actually really existed in this time frame because it's kind of like a newer holiday, to my understanding at least.
You know,
it's not as old as
know the history of Halloween, and I don't know why. But I was very confused. I need to do some research on it. I feel like I'm going to be ashamed to admit this, but when I was watching Dairy Girls recently, they were talking about Halloween, and I was like, do they celebrate Halloween everywhere? Like, is that... I know it started not in America, but I was like, did it start in Ireland? Like, I'm confused.
I'm pretty sure. So I had, for some reason... being the little goth child that I was, I had a history of Halloween children's book at one point in my life, which has since disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. But my memory, if it serves me okay, it came from Europe, and then when it like Europeans colonized America, they brought it here, and then we just took it and ran with it, and like other countries don't really give a shit about Halloween.
So it was not a pagan religious celebration from the ancient Celtic. That's what Google says. So yeah, that tracks completely. Yeah, we just took it and commercialized it. Sure.
Yeah, as we do most things. But I'm like trying to remember. I'm like, I don't know if Halloween was just like not like much of a thing in Europe during this time frame. Probably not, because Catholicism and all that at this point in time.
Okay, wait. But I'm seeing that it's ancient Celtic.
Yeah, ancient Celtic, and it says they would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. That's cool.
Okay, so I was not crazy for being like, did it start in Ireland? Like, I felt really confused for a second. I was like, wow, I really don't know anything about Halloween, and that just showed me how little I knew.
They also didn't originally carve pumpkins.
I believe that.
It's not a zucchini, but it is... Wait, squash. It was squash. I think.
We love a gourd.
Yeah.
Wait, but can we talk about how he created the monster and then he went and took a nap?
Literally. Well, the funny thing to me is, so first of all, he does this in November, which honestly, I guess, but not the proper time frame. Should have been October. Moving on. He immediately is like, wow, my creation's so hot. And then like after like the word hot comes out, he's like, oh, never mind. I'm over it. Disgusting. Like, like if you've ever been around a friend that like is only into the chase, and then the second they like capture that person, they're like, actually, they're not that hot. Like, I don't know.
The friends in the room.
Yeah. That's 100% the energy Victor's giving. Like, spent 2 years on this project, and he's like, what did
I must share that my absolute favorite part of this book is the fact that he takes the nap right after. Mm-hmm. He does this like absolutely heinous, off the wall science experiment.
Defied nature.
And
then goes and takes a nap.
Mortified by his sin, and then he's like, I guess I'll just take a nap.
Like, how could you sleep at that time? He talks about how he hasn't slept in years because he's been working on this, and then the moment it's done, the moment he has what he wants, he's like, I'm gonna go crash. Like,
every ghost encounter I've ever had, I take a little nap. Like, I literally roll, like, terrifying, horrifying experience, and then you like roll over and fall back asleep. Like, that's just me. That's just my experience. So I feel him in this moment.
Just some nice little avoidance behavior sprinkled in throughout the book. I told you it was a theme, that just sleeping it off is kind of a theme throughout this book. It's like whenever she does something so crazy in this book, she's like, just gonna take a nap, or just gonna faint, gonna get sick,
gonna have a fever.
Have I ever sent you that list, Al, of reasons people died in like Jane Austen era novels, like 1800s novels? I sent you that?
No, but I can imagine.
Okay. Hold on, I'm just gonna pull it up really quick because I feel like it's someone made a Twitter thread, and it's one of my favorite things. Let's see if I can find it.
Well, I feel like this is the perfect time to comment on this is a Bridgerton spoiler. It reminds me of when we were watching Bridgerton and the dad dies because of a bee sting. And I remember thinking, like, that is the worst plot I've ever heard. But then you think about it and you're like, if he's allergic, there's no EpiPen. Like,
no, and you probably have no way of knowing that you were allergic.
Right.
You know, I'm sure that happened a lot.
Yeah. And we after we had watched it, Mike was talking about, he's like, imagine you have no idea and you just get stung by a bee and you just die.
Yeah, I'm pissed. Pissed. This is not the original poster, so I'm not going to tell you who it is, because I don't know who the original poster is. So here's a few of the reasons women have died in literature, alright? Cold hands, beautiful face, wrist fevers, night brain, too many pillows, night brain, too many pillows, garden troubles. Someone said no very loudly while they were in the room. Letter reading fits. Knitting needles too heavy. My top favorite is
Frankenstein.
What?
I said, is this about Victor Frankenstein?
Literally.
Fragile little Frankenstein, yeah.
My favorite one is the unpleasantness.
One. I would totally die from unpleasantness, without a doubt.
That's Frankie right there.
Yeah.
Ship infidelity. Sherry served too cold. There's one that just says, spinal degradation as a result of pride. Parents too happy. Those are not all of them. There's just mostly good ones.
I think I related to almost all of them except for the happy parents.
Pony exhaustion is always also on there.
Pony exhaustion.
The unpleasantness is also my favorite.
Unpleasantness. Cold hands. I get it. Cold hands, cold feet. Count me out.
Yep. That's also how I would kill and die.
For.
So, yeah, our main man goes to bed. And then after he, like, tries to sleep for a while, and obviously this creature's still, like, walking around, he's like, okay, I can't sleep. And then he goes down into a courtyard, leaves this creature in his apartment, doesn't talk to him at all, by the way, just, like, dips. he randomly runs into Henry when he's in the courtyard. Or Henri.
Henri. Mine says he's in the streets. He's walking the streets.
Yeah, he is.
He might have started walking the streets at this point. But this is the first time I get Frankenstein's name. Right here. We are 5 chapters in, and I finally 4 chapters in, finally just got his name.
Yeah, I saw that in your notes, and I was like, is that really true?
Yeah, I haven't been paying enough attention to know if that's how it is in mine, but I almost feel like you may be right in my version, too.
My other version was a lot sooner, because I knew his name. Well, I mean, I knew his name from pop culture, but I was waiting for it to be announced. And I got it a lot earlier on.
Do we hear in the beginning his father's name?
Yeah, we know his dad's last name is Frankenstein.
I feel like that's mentioned.
I didn't get his last name in this one.
Didn't he?
I'll have to go back and reread it for a 6th time.
Literally. Because I was like really digging for it. Because I was like, what? How have we not mentioned it?
I'm going to peek in my version and just see if in the beginning.
Yeah.
I wish there was like a Control F in an actual book.
Literally.
Can you do that on the Kindle?
I don't know.
These are letters.
Try.
But yeah, how crazy that Henri just shows up. I like that he calls him by his last name, Clerval. That's such a bro thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Also, Clerval is a sick last name.
Clerval's incredible. Should I change my last name to Clerval?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
It's pretty good. Okay, so I looked at my version. We did not get his father's name until the letter that he writes in the next chapter, or in the later chapters. Because it just says my father, my father, my father.
Okay, wait. I have, when I search my Kindle, in chapter 4. Are we in chapter 4?
We are in chapter 4.
Yep. Okay, that's my first one. My Dear Frankenstein.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So the first time we hear his name is Clerval professing his love, my dear Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm. As it should be, honestly.
As it should be.
That's hot.
That is hot.
So Henry's finally been allowed to go to college. He's very happy about it. He used to be back with his boyfriend. I love that I have just decided they're a couple.
They're together.
How desperate of him to follow him to his school.
When it's love, it's love, you know?
I'm absolutely fangirling over them. Every time Clerval comes back, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's back.
Mm-hmm. He's here.
So he decides to bring Henry back to his apartment, which, I mean, what else was he gonna do, I guess? And he's like, hey, Henry, can you, like, wait down here for a second? And he runs
wait at the door for a minute.
Yeah. Runs upstairs, looks around, does not see an 8'8" monster anywhere. So
8'8".
Like, why am I picturing him, like, putting dishes in the sink and freaking out?
like making his bed really fast,
brushing his teeth, you know, and like doing the whole thing.
Like, have you ever had it where your parents decide to make you like randomly visit, and you're just like, oh, they can't know I live like this all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. You just boop, 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 boop. Like,
that's funny.
Oh my god, I did not highlight this, but when he takes Clerval to his room. What are we calling him? Henry? Henri? Clerval? It doesn't matter.
I'm going with Henry just because if I keep saying Henry.
Henry's a cutie. When he takes Henry to his room, he goes, we ascended into my room, and the servant brought us breakfast. Didn't know he had servants. Doesn't shock me.
Ooh, they were there all night.
He goes, I was unable to contain myself. It was not joy only that possessed me. I felt my flesh tingle with excess of sensitiveness. That's a word. And my pulse beat rapidly. That's, like, he's so into it. I was unable to remain for a single instant in the same place. I jumped over chairs, clapped my hands, and laughed out loud. Clerval at first attributed my unusual spirits to joy on his arrival. And then he realizes it's because the monster's gone. But it sounds like
a lovely evening together, and then he just, like, faints.
Yeah.
And then again, Henry goes, my dear Victor. He says, get a hold of yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's when I finally get his first name, right there.
It's cute. It's cute that he's like so giddy while Henry's there. Henri.
See, and then
Henri.
the first moment that Henry gets there, Victor immediately falls ill, and he's like ill for months. Months. And then like
the drama.
Henry doesn't even get to go to school. He doesn't get to go to school. Like, also, I mean, Henry could have gone to school.
About that.
Oh, I thought about that. Everything is about Victor Frankenstein.
Literally.
Frankenstein's like one of those people who's like, he quits college, so he tries to get all of his friends to drop out too. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, listen, you can make so much money doing this, blah, blah, blah. Don't waste your time. Start making money now. That's Victor Frankenstein.
Buy an EFT.
Yeah, crypto, bro.
Yeah.
Poor Henry.
So then after getting better, Henry's like, all right, buddy, you really gotta write to your family, because so far I just keep saying that like you broke your hand and they're starting to not buy it anymore.
That whole part where he like finally is coming to, and then he's like, here, read this note, please respond. And then Elizabeth is like, dude, are you alive? We're not buying this Weekend at Bernie's shit anymore.
No, it's been 2 years. And then he recites the letters. That's kind of the craziest part, is like this whole book is him telling the sailor a story, and he recites the full letters.
Yeah, I still can't believe it's been 2 years. Chapter. 2 years since Clerval showed up.
No, not yet.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like, been 2 years since he dropped out of school and started collecting dead bodies to bring the monster to life. That's taken him 2 years.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. He was ill for 2 years.
No, Henry
Clerval lost 2 years of life being his
No, he got like 6 months, pretty much, it seems like.
Okay.
So it's like, he was in college 2 years. Dead bodies are 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then, like, this letter reading, like, he's ill, like, another year and a half, 2 years after that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was starting to really lose grips on the timeline here, and I was like, Clerval is wasting away his youth.
But I'm excited. I'm excited for the next reading, because this is when we get introduced to Justine. And Justine is one of my favorite things to talk about in this book.
Justine.
Justice for Justine.
Justine. I'm begging you, please don't kill my brother.
Did we get enough to do an actual episode, though, or are we going to have to, like, merge two?
Now she has enough for an episode after that little solo, you know?
We're good. That was all I needed.
Get your music debut in there. Hell yeah, I'm so excited.
Are you going to keep that in there?
Yeah.
Gosh darn it. I don't care anyway. Whatever.
Well, that's all we have for this episode, and we will catch you all in the next one in 2 weeks, right here. Same time, same place. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.